Hello everyone, it's Jamarl Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. Hope everyone is doing alright. Let's see. I fell down a rabbit hole. I was looking at one thing and then it led to something else, so I apologize for the time frame between the videos. John McCain has passed at 81 years old, and I want to talk about something related to it, even though it's not that issue specifically. Just before we start, if you enjoy the content, please feel free to share it, to like it. If you enjoy it and you are not yet a patron, please consider giving at least $1 to support the content. I'm trying to get less reliant on YouTube. So there's that. John McCain is dead at 81. Now, I'm not going to speak ill of the dead, so I'm not going to go into a tirade about John McCain per se. What I want to do is I want to talk about the disparity between what the media is reporting about John McCain and his passing versus the way things were. I am making the case that they are whitewashing history, that they are wiping him clean, even going so far as to say people around the world love the guy. I think this is folly, to say the least. And I think these are the moments where you get to see reality. It's peeking through, and part of the reality even has to do with the reality that you're given that's unreal. Well, let's say the unreal reality that you're given. I like that. You get to see the crevices or the creeks in the real world compared to what the media tells you the real world is. This is awesome. My heart goes out to his family, but you know, this idea that the guy was some kind of great humanitarian fighting for freedom is utter nonsense. This is a bomb strike. I need to develop a story or develop a case. This is a bomb strike. I want you to see what a bomb strike looks like. Most Americans never see it. 99% point something percent of Americans have never lived through anything like that. Nowhere near close to it. Now, to put it in perspective in another way, let's see if I still have it up. I wasn't thinking about this before I did this, but right here. The bombs were such, and this goes back to Vietnam. The bomb that you just saw was the mother of all bombs. I think that was in Afghanistan. This was a few years ago, in 2017. To give you the idea of the amount of bombs that were dropped even during Vietnam, that's one. Over 200 nights in 1973 alone, 257,456 tons of explosive fell in the streets, carpet bombing suites, half as many that were dropped during Japan in the Second World War. The pallets flew at such great heights they were incapable of discriminating between Cambodian villages that were the targets and North Vietnamese supply lines nicknamed Ho Chi Minh Trail. Meaning the pilots that were doing these bombing runs, even back in Vietnam, couldn't distinguish who was on the ground. They were dropping bombs indiscriminately, killing human beings. You can't say you were hitting bombing targets of specific people because you couldn't even see who you were bombing. I point to you that that's not all that different today. The technology and all has changed, but for the most part, it's a fantasy that the bombs that we're using are targeted. 41 man targets, but 1,147 people killed. U.S. drone strikes, the facts on the ground. Regardless of Obama and all these presidents tell you how accurate and why hit one civilian, they are lying to you. In some of the cases, the studies, 90% of the people that we were hit were civilians. This is the reality of American bombing. In some cases, they come up with different plans, like one strategy is double tap. Nail the ground. When people go to try to help out respondents, hit them again. You want to get the maximum effect. You hit them, and then you hit them when emergency services come to try to help. You want to get the maximum effect. After all, we have all sorts of strategies. Sometimes hitting people based on cell phone or signature data. How do you know that my wife doesn't have that cell phone? Too bad, she shouldn't have been your wife. Evaporated. And in the process of doing this, racking up a large number of civilian casualties. Like I said, in some cases, 90% of the people hit were civilians. 41 men targeted, 1,147 people killed, U.S. drone strikes, facts on the ground. Believe it or not, Obama dropped over 26,000 bombs in the last year of his presidency alone. Donald Trump has escalated the number of bombings that we have been taking, hiding many of these things in the CIA so the public itself doesn't actually know the number of people that we have been murdering. It was an interesting point when CNN was forced to show that our weapons contractors, that the United States sold Saudi Arabia bombs. Those bombs were used to kill children. Their parents sent them off to school and they never came back. I'm trying to communicate to you something very specific. Bombs are non-specific. Even when they say they're specific, they're killing a large swath of civilians. When they are talking about regime change, that is a euphemism for murdering a lot of people to depose the government of another country. Let's call it by what it is. We are not at the end of those bombs. We are sitting here pontificating about people dropping those bombs, but what we're really talking about is large swaths of murder. Iraq, over 1 million people killed. In Libya, you can buy a black slave today. Syria, right now, we have been working with terrorists in that region of the globe in order to depose that particular government. I'm telling you that what we have been doing around the world has been catastrophic, utterly contemptible and catastrophic. We are dropping bombs and murdering people around the globe, and we are not all that discriminating in the people who we're murdering. And we are shocked as shit that people think that this is the most violent government on the planet. Who's the biggest concern for world peace? Us. And American citizens are unclear as to why. The media doesn't report the world in the way that I've just reported the world, but everything that I've just said was absolutely and completely true. Here's the thing. Who's this guy?
It's well documented that we have, for quite a long time now, known where the real problem is in the Middle East. And in fact, the president adequately described it as the axis of evil. I guess my question is, how many times do we have to prove that these people are blowing up people now? Never mind if they get a nuclear weapon. When do we send them an airmail message to Tehran?
That old Beach Boys song, Bomberan. Bom, 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 bom. Anyway.
Isn't it funny? Dropping bombs on human beings. It's hilarious. I mean, forget the fact that there's a shallow interpretation of this that I don't want to go into. This idea that we are the ones that topple their governments, and that the theocratic government that they have there now is essentially a pushback against a dictator that we put in the first place. Forget that fact that that guy is completely blissfully unaware of that. Joking about bombing another country where you're bomb Iran. Hopefully YouTube don't demonetize the video. I guess they can't demonetize the video since they already done that over singing the song. That's an infraction, by the way, singing bomb if you sing the song. That said, he's laughing and joking about dropping ammunition onto somebody's head that explodes, and in doing so kills a large swath of people. I've just told you that 90% of the bombs or the people that we kill were innocent civilians. And if we're killing that many civilians, why are we joking about killing and murdering human beings? Moms, cousins, brothers, sisters, people who have families just like yours. In the same way that McCain loves his kids and they maybe love him, the people who McCain has been talking about bombing and killing his entire career also have bonds and families that they love and care about. Don't speak ill of the dead, even though that dead man was perfectly okay with killing and maiming a large number of people. The same person who's joking about bombing Iran has talked about bombing an ungodly number of countries. Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, Kosovo, Nigeria, Bosnia, North Korea, Iran, Russia, Sudan, Mali, China. That is an amazing list of countries that McCain has either advocated for bombing, advocated for regime change, or essentially said something where we need to somehow get involved in some kind of military action. I'm putting all of these in the bottom for you to see for yourself. Syria. Providing military assistance to the Free Syrian Army, those were terrorists by the way, and other opposition groups is necessary, but at this late hour, that alone would not be sufficient to stop the slaughter and save innocent lives. The only realistic way to do it is with foreign air power. We need to kill people to stop people from being killed. That's what we need to do. I'm fighting for freedom. I'm fighting for freedom by killing large swaths of people to change the government of another country. Do you know that the reality of this is even opposition figures in Syria don't want the United States in Syria? Meaning, you've created a situation where the opposition figures in Syria will prefer Bashar al-Assad to stay in power over the bloodthirsty terrorists that you were supporting, that John McCain was supporting, that they're euphemistically calling supporters of freedom. It's amazing. Let's keep going. I'm going to ask a question at the end of all this, but I am trying to make a point. Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya. You can buy a black slave in Libya now. You can buy slaves in Libya. It's awesome. Kosovo, Iraq, again, Nigeria, Bosnia, North Korea, Iran, Georgia, Russia, Sudan, Mali, China. Some of those, by the way, would have resulted in a nuclear conflict, would have put end of this planet. It's not that I like to say bad things, but I don't want to create a positive reinforcement on the image of somebody who've lived an ignoble career. If there is a Christian God above, then there is a John McCain in a cage being tortured by some demon with a G-string on, prodding him in the ass as he's naked in a cage with fire, licking the edges of the cage, looking up at me do this video right now. You can't say he was a humanitarian. You can't say he was fighting for peace. You can't say that he was even fighting for a better world. You can't say that somebody who went on bombing raids or who wanted bombing raids, who wanted bombings in all of these countries throughout the globe, one country after the next, killing, maiming, massacring. You can't say that a person who's lived a career that way, with stated career of that way, meaning I can go through and look at the things that he's said in video after video after video. He's lived a very long career, and for the entire of his political career, he's been out fighting for people being murdered. Now, for that individual and for that person, what does the media say about him? And between the difference in the reality of this person's life and the things that he's advocated versus how the media and what the media says, in that distinction, you can see the reality of the failure of your media and the fakeness of that media. John McCain's death gives you a look behind the scenes. And I say that to say, if media is not telling you what I just told you, the media is to some degree lying to you. They may add other stuff to it, but at the end of the day, this is the reality of events. Now, I'm on the left. I care about the fact that this person has lived a life murdering or talking about murdering and killing and maiming and implementing policies and making votes to make sure that would happen. Then he lived a life where the results of what he did, for whatever reason, didn't necessarily tar him from the standpoint of the way that the media looked at him. Well, tar him from my perspective. So I don't like the killing and the maiming. The media and the political class, despite dealing with somebody who was for the avocation and the murdering of a large number of people, and if we're talking about bombings, again, 90% of those bombings hit civilians. So what we're talking about is a person killing a large number of civilians. If the media chooses not to look at the fact that a large number of people are being murdered in the things that we do, that's up to the media, and that's media making a choice not to do those things, the media to be dishonest towards the people who are looking at the media. And I'd argue that that's some degree the problem that we have now. Right here. Politicians grieve John McCain's death with touching tributes. They may be tributes, but are they honest? America and freedom itself has lost one of the great champions. I will need some time to absorb this, but I want Sydney and the entire McCain family to know they are in my prayers. Wall Street Chuck. As you go through life, you meet few truly great people. John McCain was one of them. His dedication to this country and the military were unsurpassed. And maybe, most of all, he was a truth teller. Ain't that good? He was a truth teller. Let's keep going. Sarah Palin. Part of the truth that he told was standing under a banner called America First. And he loved America so much that he introduced Sarah Palin as the vice president, potential vice president of the country. Do you believe that Sarah Palin was in any way prepared to take on the presidency of the country if this man who was eaten away by brain cancer had gotten eaten away by the pressures of the policy, of the pressures of the office, sooner than what he expired or how he expired now? He put Sarah Palin one heartbeat away from the presidency, to coin a phrase, under a banner of America First. But maybe he is a truth teller. Let's keep going. Barack Obama. Paul Ryan. John McCain was a giant of our time. That's actually true. He was a giant of our time. Our hearts are with John's wife. That's fair. Here's somebody else. Who's this? Flake? I think this is Jeff Flake. Let's keep going. We have Jeff Sessions. He was tireless in his service. Al Gore. My statement on the passing of John McCain. All these people. Jimmy Carter. Bernie Sanders. John McCain was an American hero, a man of decency and honor, and a friend of mine. He will be missed not just in the United States Senate, but by the Americans who respect the integrity and independence. Jane and I send our deepest condolences and family. And of course, Ocasio-Cortez, the other socialist. John McCain's legacy represents an unparalleled example of human decency and American service. I love that. As an intern, I learned a lot about the power of humanity and government through his deep friendship with Senator Kennedy. He meant so much to so many. My prayers are with his family. The Washington Post has been doing story after story. In one case, they're asking, what could America learn from John McCain? Understand, while this person was getting treatment for brain cancer that was eating him alive, he flew back across the country, dragging his carcass, or close to a carcass at this point, to place a vote to make sure that in his waning ways of life, that 20 million people would be prevented from getting health care. Great man. I'm not going to rant. I just want to make the distinction between those things. One or two things is true. Either what all these people are saying is true, or what I'm saying is true. And what I have just told you was a flat fact. This person who they're saying was fighting for freedom in America was talking about bombing and killing and maiming in all of these places, some of which would have caused the end of the world. Nor did he care about the civilians that he was going to be murdering and killing, even when up to 90% of the people that we hit with our strikes are civilians. Both can't be true. Your media is lying to you. They're giving you this idea of American exceptionalism, and all of them are trying to get you to swallow it. We have a militaristic, violent culture, and one of the stalwarts of that militaristic, violent culture has just died. He's just kicked the bucket. And they're doing everything they can to prop up that idea of quote-unquote American exceptionalism under the banner of John McCain. You make your own choices in what you want to decide on, whether you want to have some level of positive affirmation associated with somebody who's lived a life of killing and murdering and advocating for the killing and murdering. I don't necessarily think that will. John McCain was a warmonger, and that warmonger died at 81. I'll leave it at that. Oh wow, we have a lot of people here. We're exceptional at war. Yeah, but that's not what I want to be exceptional in. And if I had a kid, that is not what I would want to try to get across to my kid to emulate. That's why I think this is important. That's why I do this video. Media puts forth a narrative and an image of America. And John McCain is one of the people fitting into the narrative and image, kind of like Hunger Games. Somebody dies on Hunger Games and they prop the person up and everything else. Same difference. In this case, John McCain. It doesn't seem like Hunger Games because you're living in it. But if you looked at it from a third-person perspective, all of this is theater. What I've just told you about John McCain is absolutely true. And if everything I've told you about John McCain is true, then all the other stuff is theater. Each and every one of these people, Ocasio knows, Sanders knows, one politician after the next knows exactly that everything that I've just told you was absolutely true. And they get out there and say it anyway. The media would crucify somebody if they said something to the effect. But the fact is, I don't want to keep propping up the system the way the system is. And if you want to, and the only way to change it is to say something different. Saying something different. He was a goddamn warmonger. Call him what he was. And he's dead at 81. Bow like a leopard. Damn, those eulogies were so fake they came out of Carmody. They came out of Carmody lecturer's chest. You should have just said tits at this point. You might as well have said tits if you're going to say it that way. Who is this? Who is this? Who is this? But that's funny, bold. McCrap. He was a murdering fucktard who crashed planes. I'm glad he's dead. He trained murdering in the United States. It's called the military. He loved the United States so much he fucked it repeatedly. We lost an American hero to a tumor. You know, the wild part about this is it's always lost on me by people making this argument, talking about they love their military. If you love their military, you would keep their ass at home. I love my cousin. And because I love my cousin who's in the military, I want him to be here. I don't want him out there in the fucking shithole of a place. I want his ass here, fucking around doing whatever he's doing here. He can serve his country in other ways while he's in his country. And until people realize that you can serve your country in other ways as opposed to murdering people abroad, then you're going to have people murdering people abroad. This idea that John McCain was a hero, is it to the better interest or not of the United States to spend trillions of dollars murdering people abroad? Or is it better for us to spend that money at home? I will put my money on us spending that money here. We spend $1 trillion a year on the military. I think that's fucking insane. I don't know how anybody makes that straight case to me. We are making more terrorists as we go about bombing and killing people abroad. We're doing that. And then we're shocked as shit that people hate us and want to, cut our heads off. You can't have it both ways. You don't have healthcare. You don't have awesome train systems. I've been on your trains and I've been on trains abroad. I guarantee you they're better in Europe. You have the richest country on the planet. You don't have healthcare. You don't have education. You don't have child credits. You don't have all sorts of things that will make your life easier as a collective society. What you do have is you working yourself to the bone. 40, 50 hours, barely making ends meet, while you have a rapacious 1% that expropriates the wealth directly to the top 1%. They give trillions of dollars away in a tax cut. Trillions of dollars. You know who saw that money? Not you. Not you. All right. I'm going to end this because I have a few more videos that I want to do today, but I appreciate you guys showing up. 2 times late, but JT, last video content was great. Don't worry about the timeout on audio. Wow. Okay. He agrees with me. Usually he disagrees with me. Fair enough. Fair enough. People don't like McCain. People don't like John McCain. The last video was about McCain. This video is more so about the media and how they are whitewashing what was clearly a warmonger. I don't understand how you make the argument that McCain wasn't a warmonger. I don't. You do, but it's all right. I don't say that as a bad way, 2 times. I don't say that as a bad way. I don't say it as a bad way at all. People disagreeing with me is not bad. In fact, it makes for more interesting videos sometimes. Honest disagreement. Honest disagreement, not fucking around. Honest disagreement. The tumor was the hero. Oh, wow. I'm pretty sure the tumor caused the only decency in that situation of a human being. The ghost can go fuck off with Hillary. God, man, I have a really poor taste video that I want to do. Yeah, I have a poor taste video that I want to do that it's fucking with me, but I think I'm gonna do it. You're blaming Trump. Meghan McCain is blaming Trump for the tumor. Is that what's going on? I'm laughing at you, Danny. That in homelessness, and the VA frees up those resources. There you go. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. Yeah. If you care about the troops, you should have put more money behind the VA. There's all sorts of stuff. It's like, I care about the troops, so I want those troops to be in more military conflicts. Instead of saying I'm going to spend $1 trillion in the military, what about I care for the troops, so I'm making sure that they're not going into wars, and the money that I'm saving on preventing those wars is going back into making sure the VA is secure. You care about the troops in all sorts of ways. The way McCain was doing it was not the way to do it. McCain is in the middle ground for incrementalists to look to as one who had differing views but deserves respect. He doesn't deserve a single word. He's a product of the military-industrial complex. You know, it's funny. They said McCain was part of the resistance against Trump. Do you know he voted with Trump like 90% of the time? 90% of the time. What McCain did was amazing, you could say, optics for media. They loved him. They loved him. So, I'll end it at that. Alright, if you enjoy the content, please feel free to share, like, subscribe. You can always support through Patreon. I will be back because I have several other videos that I want to do today. And who is this? And this will be the last person. By the way, someone sent me something in the in my P.O. box, and I need to recount it. I have it in the other room that I'm going to talk about it. Tonight on Maddow. Can McCain's tumor be linked to the Kremlin? We have exclusive coverage saying yes. Oh, God. This show is in such bad taste today. Oh, fuck. Oh, man. This is so bad. This is so bad. Alright. I'm going to end it here. If you enjoy the content, please feel free to share, like, subscribe. You can always support through Patreon. Luca Clemente talking about John McCain's tumor for the Nobel Peace Prize. Oh, that's so brutal. That's so brutal. I'll see you guys probably in about 20-30 minutes. Thanks, guys. Thanks, guys. Oh, that's brutal.